What if the house you explore not only remembers, but reveals secrets that were never meant to be uncovered? The long, winding road seemed endless, bordered by dense, shadowy trees that reached skyward like skeletal fingers. Tip sat behind the wheel of the van, glancing nervously at the GPS. Beside her, Kiki held a flashlight, her leg bouncing with excitement. In the back seat, Tasheka scrolled through her phone while Ice kept an eye on the three small children, Tiashia, Neela, and Legend, all wide-eyed with curiosity, each whispering to one another about the excitement of the trip. "We're almost there," Kiki announced, pointing at the fading signal on the screen. "Holloway Manor is just up ahead." Tip sighed, tightening her grip on the steering wheel. "I still don't think bringing the kids was a good idea." "They wanted to come," Tasheka said, without looking up. "And it's not like we're staying the night." "We'd better not," Ice muttered, her arms crossed. "Places like this don't just sit empty for no reason." The van rolled to a stop in front of a rusted gate, barely clinging to its hinges. Beyond it, the silhouette of Holloway Manor loomed, a decrepit Victorian mansion shrouded in mist. Its warped facade and shattered windows seemed to watch them, waiting. Kiki hopped out, pulling a camera from her bag. "This is it, the perfect spot for our paranormal docuseries. Holloway Manor, the forgotten horror." Legend pressed his face against the window, his voice muffled. "It looks scary." "Because it is," Ice said flatly, stepping out of the van. "Let's make this quick." The adults pushed open the groaning gate, leading the children toward the house. As they approached, Tiashia clung to Kiki's hand, while Neela and Legend trailed close behind. The massive front doors creaked as Tip pushed them open, revealing a dimly lit foyer. Dust blanketed every surface, and cobwebs hung from the tarnished chandeliers. "Smells like something died in here," Ice said, wrinkling her nose. "Adds to the vibe," Kiki replied, filming the decaying grandeur. "Atmosphere is everything." The group moved cautiously through the house, their footsteps echoing unnaturally. Faded portraits lined the walls, their painted eyes following every movement. Tasheka stopped to examine one of the portraits, a stern-looking man with piercing eyes that seemed alive. "This guy gives me the creeps," she muttered. "Keep moving," Tip said. "We'll film the intro in the living room." They gathered in a room cluttered with broken furniture and remnants of the past. A cracked phonograph, tattered books, and a fireplace filled with cold ashes. Kiki set up her camera on a tripod, while Ice stood by the doorway, keeping watch. "All right, let's roll," Kiki said, motioning for Tip to step into the frame. Before Tip could speak, a faint whisper floated through the air. Everyone froze. "Did you hear that?" Ice asked, her eyes narrowing. "Hear what?" Kiki replied, adjusting the camera. The children huddled together, their faces pale. The whisper grew louder, turning into faint laughter. Legend pointed toward a dark hallway. "It's coming from there!" Kiki's face lit up. "Perfect. Let's check it out." "This is a bad idea," Tip said. But Kiki was already heading toward the sound, the camera in her hands. The group followed reluctantly, the children clinging tightly to the adults. The hallway stretched endlessly, lined with warped doors. The laughter grew more distinct, echoing eerily. At the end of the hall, a door stood slightly ajar, a faint light spilling out. "This is it," Kiki whispered, pushing the door open. Inside was a child's bedroom, oddly pristine. A doll sat upright on the bed, its glassy eyes staring ahead. Tiashia whimpered, hiding behind Ice. "Why does this look new?" Tasheka asked. "Maybe someone's been squatting here," Tip said uneasily. The doll's head turned sharply to face them. The room fell silent. Kiki dropped the camera with a gasp, and Legend screamed. "Out! Now!" Ice barked, grabbing Legend and Tiashia by the hands. The door slammed shut behind them as the whispers turned into angry murmurs. The floor began to vibrate. "What's happening?" Nyla cried, clutching Tasheka's arm. "We need to leave," Tip shouted. The group bolted toward the staircase, but the house seemed to warp around them. The staircase twisted impossibly, the chandelier above swaying dangerously. At the top of the stairs, a shadowy figure emerged, its form shifting and unnatural. It raised a hand, pointing at them, and the whispers became a deafening roar. "What do you want?" Kiki screamed. The figure didn't respond. Instead, images flashed through their minds. The stern man from the portrait, standing over a weeping woman, a child hiding in the shadows, blood staining the walls. The house wasn't just haunted. It was alive, and it remembered. The group stumbled into the foyer, now a distorted version of itself. The front door was gone, replaced by a solid wall. Ice pounded on it desperately. "This isn't real! This can't be real!" she shouted. "We have to keep moving," Tasheka said, pulling the children closer. The floor beneath them gave way, and they plummeted into darkness. They landed in a damp basement, the air thick with decay. Flickering candles illuminated symbols etched into the walls. Tiashia sobbed softly, and Nyla held her hand tightly. "This is a ritual room," Kiki whispered, her voice trembling. A low growl echoed through the space, and shadows began to coalesce in the corners, forming humanoid shapes. "We're not alone," Tip said, gripping a rusted iron rod she found on the floor. The shadows lunged at them. Kiki swung her camera's light toward the symbols on the wall. "The symbols! They're a binding spell! We need to break it!" Tasheka began scraping at the carvings with a piece of broken glass, disrupting the patterns. The shadows screamed and dissolved, but the ground began to quake violently. "Whatever you're doing, do it faster!" Ice shouted, fending off another shadow with the iron rod. The final symbol shattered, and the house began to collapse in on itself. A faint light appeared ahead, and they ran toward it, the ground crumbling behind them. With one final leap, they escaped through the light as the house imploded, landing outside in the overgrown field where Holloway Manor once stood. The group lay on the grass, gasping for breath. Behind them, there was no trace of the mansion, only silence and emptiness. "Promise me one thing," Tip said, breaking the silence. "What?" Kiki asked, clutching her camera tightly. "We're never doing this again." Kiki gave a weak laugh as they climbed back into the van. As they drove away, the rearview mirror captured a brief glimpse of the shadowy figure, standing silently where the house once was. Then it was gone. Thank you for venturing into the unknown with us on Twisted Nightmares Chronicles. If this tale sent shivers down your spine, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to uncover more twisted tales. Have a haunting of your own to share? Email me at jdAvis70024@gmail.com or drop it in the comments below. Until next time, keep listening, but be careful what you hear.